Okay, welcome dear students. In this video lecture, we are starting a new topic, that is spectroscopy. We know that spectroscopy is one of the very important topic in chemistry. It is a very important analytical tool to elucidate the structure of molecules, and you might have studied the basic of spectroscopy in your UG level. And we know there are different types of spectroscopy. That is, there are rotational spectroscopy, vibrational spectroscopy, NMR spectroscopy, like that. There are different types of spectroscopy. Spectroscopy is very important branch in chemistry, and it is very important analytical tool for chemists and researchers to study the structure of the molecules or the species. Okay, and in this video lecture, first we are going to learn some introduction, some important basic things about spectroscopy. General basic factors, general basic things about spectroscopy. In the next video onwards, we will move towards the different types of spectroscopy like rotational, vibrational, electronic, etc. Okay, and we are mainly focusing on the theory part. The application level is mainly in organic chemistry, and you may learn the application spectroscopy in organic parts. I am mainly concentrating on the theory part of spectroscopy. Okay, listen. We are mainly referring, my textbook is this one, that is Fundamentals of Molecular Spectroscopy by Colin N. Banwell. Okay, it's very nice book. Okay, I think this is enough for you for your examination. Yeah, therefore, all must boards or take one copy of this Banwell spectroscopy by Banwell and read the textbook well. Okay, okay, then spectroscopy, actually it is defined as study of interaction of radiation with matter. Actually, what is spectroscopy? It is a study of interaction of radiation with matter. Okay, and as I told you, the spectroscopy tells us about the structure of matter. Okay. First, we are going to discuss about different regions of spectrum. Regions of electromagnetic spectrum. And you know, first one is the radio frequency region, the lowest energy radiation, lowest frequency radiation. Its frequency mainly in the range 3 into 10 raised to 6 into to 3 into 10 raised to 10 hertz, and wavelength 10 meter to 1 centimeter wavelength. It is the lowest frequency radiation, highest wavelength. And this radiation mainly involves in used in NMR and ESR spectra. Okay, we know that the spin reversal of the nucleus and electron mainly in the region of radio frequency region. Therefore, NMR spectra and ESR spectra, we are using radio frequency radiation. Energy change involved in arising from the reversal of spin of nucleus and electron. In this region, the energy change involved in this region is mainly reversal of spin of nucleus and electron. And it has the reversal of spin of nucleus and electron has an energy in the order of 0.001 to 10 joule per mole, a very low energy. Okay. Second region is microwave region, and it is 3 into 10 raised to 10 to 3 into 10 raised to 12 hertz frequency, and 1 centimeter to 100 micrometer wavelength. Okay, and we already know this region is in the rotational spectroscopy. Rotational energy levels actually is in the microwave energy region. Okay, and separation of rotational energy levels is of the order of hundreds of joules, and thus the energy of the microwave regions is in this region, in this energy. Okay. And third one is infrared region. It is 3 into 10 raised to 12 to 3 into 10 raised to 14 hertz frequency, and 100 micrometer to 1 micrometer wavelength. Okay, and this is actually this region belongs to the vibration of molecule, or the energy of vibration belongs to the infrared region. Therefore, vibrational spectroscopy is actually in the infrared. We are using the radiation, infrared radiation, and separation between the vibrational energy levels is 10 raised to 4 joules. Okay, and the next one is UV visible UV region, 3 into 10 raised to 14 to 3 into 10 raised to 16 hertz, 1 micrometer to 10 nanometer wavelength. Okay, and this is actually the electronic energy region. Electronic transition is actually in the UV visible region. Therefore, electronic spectroscopy, we are using UV visible light, and energy is about 100 kilojoules. And next is X-ray region. X-ray region, frequency is 3 into 10 raised to 16 into 3 into 10 raised to 18 frequency, and wavelength 10 nanometer to 100 picometer wavelength. Okay, and this energy change involved in this region is inner electrons of an atom or molecule, which may be the order of 10,000 kilojoules. This we will discuss later. The energy change involved in the transition of inner electron is in the X-ray region. And the last one is gamma region. 3 into 10 raised to 18 into 3 into 10 raised to 20 hertz is very high frequency radiation, very high energy radiation. 100 picometer to 1 picometer, very smallest wavelength. And the energy change involved is the rearrangement of nuclear particle, and having energies of 10 raised to 9 to 10 raised to 11 joule per mole. Actually, in gamma radiation, we are used in Mossbauer spectroscopy. In Mossbauer spectroscopy, we are mainly using gamma radiation. Okay, and these are different regions of electromagnetic spectrum. And then next we want to discuss about the interaction of radiation with matter. There should be some mechanism between the interaction between the radiation with matter. Okay, there must be a change in electric or magnetic effect which can be influenced by electric and magnetic field of the radiation. That is, for the radiation to interact, we know that radiation has two components, electrical component and magnetic component, two part, electrical part and magnetic part. So the radiation is to interact with matter. There should be a change in electric or magnetic effect in the substance or in the motion of the substance. Then only the radiation can interact with matter. Okay, we are discussing the different ways of how radiation interact with matter. And first we are going to radio frequency region. And we know that radio frequency region is mainly used in electronic and nuclear spin reversal transition, that is in NMR and ESR spectroscopy. Okay, and we can consider an electron and a nucleus as a tiny charged particle, and therefore their spin involves or create a magnetic dipole. Okay, and the reversal of spin, there is a reversal of dipole, or there is a fluctuation in dipole or magnetic dipole. Therefore, they interact with magnetic field of the radiation. That means the spin reversal involved with the change in dipole. Okay, magnetic dipole. Therefore, the spin reversal can interact with the magnetic field of the radiation, therefore a transition takes place. We get a spectral line in this region, radio frequency region. And that is a mechanism in interaction of radio frequency with the matter. And next is microwave region. In microwave region, we know that it is rotational spectroscopy. Okay, and only molecules having permanent dipole moment can absorb microwave region or are microwave active. Okay, that is when a molecule having permanent dipole moment like HCl, that is it has a permanent dipole, we know that is it is delta plus and delta minus, and the rotation, during the rotation the component of dipole moment fluctuate regularly, and this is equivalent to fluctuating electric field of radiation. So interaction takes place. For example, consider here this is a HCl molecule. Its component of dipole moment in the z direction is this one. When it rotates in this direction, rotating in the direction, and another instant the molecule is this. Therefore, the component of dipole moment is in this one. And next instant again it become rotating and alignment become like this. And then component of dipole moment in the opposite direction. Again in this direction, then okay. That means there is a fluctuation dipole moment. We can plot like this. That is, this is the plot of component of dipole moment against time. It is similar to the fluctuating electric field of the radiation. Therefore, molecules having a permanent dipole moment, when rotates, there is a fluctuation of electric dipole. Therefore, the electric field of radiation can interact with the molecule. Therefore, a transition during the rotation, energy transition takes place. Okay. So, one of the disadvantages of one of the limitation of microwave spectroscopy is non-polar molecules like H2, O2, N2, etc. cannot show microwave spectroscopy, or they are microwave inactive. That is one of the limitation of microwave spectroscopy. Only molecules having permanent dipole moments here are microwave active. Okay, next is infrared region. We know that infrared region is used in vibrational spectroscopy. Okay, during vibration, if there is a change in dipole moment, then radiation, electric field of the radiation can interact with the species, then for transition takes place. For example, if you consider carbon dioxide molecule, it is a linear symmetrical molecule, therefore it has dipole moment is 0. But we know that carbon dioxide have different types of vibrations, like symmetrical stretching, asymmetric stretching, or unsymmetrical or asymmetric stretching, and bending modes, and different. Actually, there are 4 modes of vibration for carbon dioxide molecule. But the symmetric stretching vibration, during symmetric stretching vibration, the CO bond expand and contract simultaneously. Therefore, there is no change in dipole moment. So, the symmetric stretching vibration is IR inactive. Okay, in the case of carbon dioxide, symmetric stretching vibration is IR inactive, therefore, because there is no change in dipole moment. But we consider asymmetric stretching. You see here in this diagram, asymmetric stretching, first this is the starting point, then dipole moment is 0. When molecule stretching, there is one bond stretch and the other bond compress. Therefore, at this orientation, dipole moment create a dipole moment in this direction. And next they come to the equilibrium position, then again dipole moment is 0. Next, in the opposite direction, dipole moment changes. Then there is a fluctuation in dipole moment in the asymmetric stretching vibration. Therefore, the electrical component of radiation can interact. Therefore, vibration leads to a transition. Vibrational transition takes place. Okay, by absorbing radiation. And the next one is UV visible region. Actually, UV visible region is used in electronic spectroscopy, that is electronic transition, especially the valence electron. The excitation of valence electrons involves the moving of electronic charges in the molecule. When electron excite, valence electron excite, there is a move of electronic charges, therefore dipole moment changes. Consequently, a change in electric dipole gives rise to a spectrum by interaction with the electric field of radiation. That is, when an electron excites, there is a moving of electronic charge, therefore there is a change in dipole moment, therefore electric field of radiation can interact, therefore electronic excitation leads to a spectrum or absorption of UV visible radiation. Okay, next we want to discuss about some other terms about spectra. First one is width of a spectral line. Okay, that is, when we see a spectra, it cannot be a sharp line like this. We cannot obtain a spectra like this, a sharp line. The old spectra, you can see this type of spectra. Okay, there are different ways to resolve the resolution of spectroscopy to get the shorten the width of the spectral lines. But even though by any high resolution, any high sophisticated spectrometers, there is a natural line width. Okay, there are different ways to reduce the width of the spectral line. But even though we are using any sophisticated instrument, spectrometers, we cannot obtain a sharp spectral lines like this. Okay, there will always a natural line width in every spectra. Okay, this is due to some reason. There are some reason for this natural line width. The one is collision broadening. Okay, there is atoms and molecules in liquids and gases are in continuous motion and they collide with each other. Okay, liquid and gaseous molecules are collide with each other, and due to this collision, there will be a perturbation in energy of outer electrons. Okay, and there will be perturbation of energy of the vibrational and rotational levels. So, due to this, there is a fuzziness, there is a disturbance in the energy, or there is a imprecision in the energy of this energy of the valence state. Therefore, there is a natural line width due to this. This is called collision broadening. That is the first reason for width of a spectral, natural bandwidth of a spectral line. And next one is Doppler broadening. You may study this in physics. Doppler effect. That is it is due to the motion of molecule. Okay, due to the motion of molecule, there is a change in energy of the molecules, energy levels. Therefore, there will be a natural bandwidth due to Doppler effect. Doppler shift, we call it as a Doppler shift. It is due to the motion of the molecule. So, it is more important in gases. For liquids, collision broadening is more important. For liquids, collision broadening is most important. Whereas for gases, Doppler effect is more, determines the natural bandwidth, line width. Okay. And the third and last one is uncertainty principle. Even an isolated rust species, rust molecule, the energy levels are not precise. Even in the case of an isolated stationary molecule or atoms, the energy levels are not precise. There will be an uncertainty in their energy level, in the determination of energy level. It is due to a basic or inherent principle called a uncertainty principle. You have studied this uncertainty principle. That is, energy levels are not infinitely sharp due to uncertainty principle. Suppose if the delta T is the lifetime of a particular energy state of the molecule, and there is a uncertainty in energy by a factor of delta E, That is, if delta t is the lifetime of the particular energy state, then there will be an uncertainty in its energy, or there will be a fuzziness, or there will be an imprecision in its energy delta E, related as delta T into delta E, approximately equal to h by 2 pi, that is approximately equal to 10 raised to minus 34 joule second. Okay, and we know that lowest energy state is the one of the most stable state. Delta T is infinity, that is, in most of the time the species is in the lowest energy state. So the lifetime will be infinity, then delta E is equal to 0. That is, the lowest energy state is almost precise or definitely decided. Okay, but the lifetime of excited state is about 10 raised to minus 8 seconds. Okay, then delta E will be about 10 raised to minus 34 divided by 10 raised to minus 8, approximately 10 raised to minus 26 joule. Okay, corresponding uncertainty in frequency, if it convert into frequency, then delta nu is equal to delta E divided by h. Okay, we know delta E is equal to h nu, therefore delta nu is equal to delta E divided by h. That is h delta E, we know delta E is equal to h divided by 2 pi into delta T. That substitute here, we get h divided by 2 pi h into delta T, h is cancelled, that is 1 by 2 pi delta T. That is the uncertainty or imprecision in frequency. So, for example, for an electronic state, excited state of lifetime 10 raised to minus 8 second, the uncertainty in frequency or the perturbation in frequency is 10 raised to 8 hertz. Okay, this is very large uncertainty, but it is small compared to frequency of electronic transition, that is 10 raised to 14 and 10 raised to 16 hertz. Therefore, bandwidth of electronic transition depends mainly on collision and Doppler broadening. But on the other hand, an excited electronic spin or nuclear spin state, electronic or nuclear spin excitation may exist for some 10 raised to minus 7 second, which leads to frequency uncertainty 10 raised to 7 hertz, which is very high compared to frequency of such transition 10 raised to 8 into 10 raised to 9 hertz, because we are using radio frequency in electronic and nuclear spin transition. So there will be a definite broad transition or broad spectrum, that is a bandwidth will be takes place. Okay, and these are the reasons for the bandwidth of spectral line. There are three reasons. One is collision broadening, second one is Doppler effect, and third one is uncertainty principle. Okay, then another important thing in spectroscopy, in spectra, is intensity of the spectral lines. We know that some spectral lines are highly intense, some are very low intense. Okay, so the intensity of spectral line depends on mainly three factors. First one is transition probability, second one is population, third one is concentration or path length. Okay, first one, transition probability. We know that all transitions are not equally probable. Probability of transitions are different. And from quantum mechanical principles, we can derive which transitions are more probable or which transitions are not probable. And there are some transitions are allowed and some transitions are forbidden. And these are determined by selection rules, which are determined by quantum mechanical techniques, principles. Okay, generally, allowed transitions are highly intense and forbidden transition will be very low intense. Okay, and that is the first thing for the intensity of spectral line, that is transition probability. Okay, higher the probability of transition, there will be high intense lines will be obtained. Okay, next is population of state. Okay, that is from uh, two levels, two transition of equal probability. Suppose there are, in this case, if there are highly populated, there is more number of molecule in this state. If in this case there are less number of molecule, then of course the intensity will be higher here. That is, greater will the population, higher the intensity of spectral line. That is a simple thing we can easily understand by our logic. That is, higher the population of the level, higher will be the intensity, higher the probability of transition. Okay. There is a basic equation to determine the population of a particular state. That is called the Boltzmann distribution or Boltzmann statistic. Using Boltzmann's equation, we can calculate the population of a particular level. That is, n upper minus n lower is equal to e raised to minus delta E divided by kt, where n upper is the number of molecules in the upper state, n lower is equal to number of molecules in the lower state. E raised to minus delta E is the difference in energy between the energy levels, and k, we know that Boltzmann constant, k is Boltzmann's constant, we know its value is 1.38 into 10 raised to minus 23 joule per Kelvin. Okay, that's the value of Boltzmann constant, and this equation is called a Boltzmann distribution law or Boltzmann statistics. Okay, using this equation we can calculate the population of level, and this equation we are using in other chapters. Well, you have to remember this equation, calculation of population of a particular level. And that is the second reason, second thing. And the last thing is, which affect the intensity of spectral line, is path length of the sample. Okay, or concentration. The more the sample the beam travels, more energy will be absorbed from it. Okay, that is, the beam, the electromagnetic radiation interact with more number of molecule, there will be higher intensity for the radiation. That's basic thing, and it is governed by Beer-Lambert's law. That is, I by I0 is equal to 10 raised to minus epsilon Cl. I is the intensity of incident radiation. Sorry, I is the intensity of transmitted radiation. I0 is the intensity of incident radiation. Epsilon is called a constant, that is molar absorption coefficient, and C is the concentration, L is the path length. Okay, and another form of this equation is, that is I0 by I is equal to 10 raised to epsilon Cl, and log I0 by I is equal to epsilon Cl. And log I0 by I is called absorbance. A is equal to epsilon Cl. That is, absorbance is directly proportional to concentration. So we can, using the spectrophotometers, we can measure the absorbance, and from the absorbance we can calculate the concentration, because absorbance is directly proportional to concentration. And this is the third thing which affect the intensity of spectral line, that is path length of the sample or concentration. Okay, so there are three factors which affect the spectral intensity of a spectral line. First one is transition probability, selection rules. Second one is population. Third one is path length of the sample. And these are some basic things about spectroscopy. You have to read the textbook very well, understand the basics of the spectroscopy more detail, and in the next video onwards we will discuss more about the different branches of spectroscopy. First we will discuss rotational spectroscopy. I think you have studied almost these things in your UG level, so please read your UG books or some other books for your basic informations. Okay, thank you.